what's up? My name's Samuel Leeds, and in this video, I'm going to be basically answering your property investment questions. I've been investing in property now for over 10 years. 12 years now it's been. I've done hundreds of property deals, and so many people want to invest in property, want to make money in property, but they just don't quite know what to do, what the next steps are. So I'm going to be answering your property investment questions. If you've got a question, please comment your question below. Also, do me a massive favor. Smash the like button, okay? If you appreciate my content, smash the like button. Also subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you don't miss a future video. And let's see what we've got. So some really interesting questions. Harry Heckles says, "Hi Samuel, I would like to know, are HMOs still a good investment in 2020? My uncle says they are a thing of the past as no one wants to share a bathroom and so on." Also, another question is, if I did buy a HMO and wanted to put en-suites in the rooms, do you have any idea on how much an en-suite would cost to build in each room? So, interesting question. HMOs are 100% not a thing of the past. They are booming right now. People are queuing up for rooms, and if you don't believe me, go to spareroom.co.uk and just have a quick look, and you'll see people queuing up for rooms, advertising themselves, looking for a room. You can literally type in any city in the UK. This is pretty much worldwide, by the way. If there's a booming city, people are wanting to rent rooms because we're in a recession. People haven't got much money, so they're looking for affordable accommodation. Now, that being said, en suites, where is a little bit of truth in what your uncle said, is people are generally not loving the idea of renting a room where they have to share a bathroom. That's true. In fact, I've noticed over the last few years, people have become more and more picky about what kind of room they rent. So ensuite rooms are probably a good idea. This is contrary to what I said 4 years ago. An ensuite will cost about £2,000 to put into a room, but it depends on the type of ensuite, the size of room, the area. But £2,000 is about how much it will cost, which is not very much at all. So, hope that helps. Great question. Kenneth Ward, what is the tax situation if equity is withdrawn by remortgaging for reinvestment and or personal income from a company, property and or personal property? Ken Ward, the tax situation on equity is that you don't pay any tax, because you can't pay tax on debt. So it's tax free. Hope that helps. Joe Wilson, the wisest thing that should be on every wise individual's list is to invest in different stream of income that don't depend on the government to bring money, especially now the pandemic is hitting economy pretty hard. Not really a question, more of a statement, but Joe, I would agree. I'd absolutely agree. Don't rely on the government. The government are trying to become our parents. The government are trying to make it so that we all rely on them right now. And I'm not buying it. I want to be self-sufficient. Now, whatever you do, I mean, you could always say, but if you have gold, the government could steal it. If you have properties, they could take it off. But, I mean, look, within reason, we want to be as self-sufficient as we can. I mean, I've got friends that literally have like farms and stuff and grow their own crops because they're scared that the government will, make it impossible for you to eat and all kinds of stuff. And without going really deep into crazy theories of thinking that the government are trying to kill everybody, but for real, the government definitely have an agenda and they're definitely trying to make people reliant on them. And we are slipping in some areas from a capitalist society to almost like a communist society, which I think is terrible. And I think it's really good and smart to have income streams that are coming in. And property, in my opinion, is one of the best income streams there is, because everyone will always need somewhere to live. So even though they've regulated property quite heavily, we have a limited amount of land and there's an overpopulation of people and a shortage of houses. So if you own houses, you're going to win. You're going to win, especially if you have a diverse portfolio and have multiple strategies to your property investment income. So no, I would agree with you there, Joe. Okay. Ellis Evans, by the way, if you're enjoying the video, smash the like button, because there's not many people, by the way, I just have to say this, that have become very successful in property, like I have, and actually keep doing content, putting videos out, sharing their opinions. You do have a target on your back. When you make a lot of money, and then you talk about that, you do have a target on your back a little bit. From everybody. From poor people because they're jealous. From very rich people because they're like, hey, don't tell everybody. From the government because you're anti-system. So, I do this because this is my mission. So please do me a massive favor. Smash the like button. Drop a comment below. Also subscribe. Evan Ellis says, hi there, I have a question. When I remortgage a property, now worth more than the original value, does the money I get out of it get put into my bank account, or is it held with accountants, etc.? It gets put into your bank! and you don't pay tax on it. It's debt. So, yeah, like if the value goes up, you should be able to borrow about 75% of the new value. And then with that money, you're going to pay off the old mortgage, and then the difference is yours to do what you want with. But invest smartly and wisely. Is smartly even a word? I just made it up. Because although you've refinanced that money, you have a responsibility because you're paying interest on that. So if you're paying 3-4% interest on that debt, you need to make sure that you make that debt work for you, whereby it's producing 10, 15, 20%. Because if it's not, then you're down. Does that make sense? So, but the money goes to you. It does not sit with your accountants. That would be ludicrous. Aleem. Hi Samuel, I'm 17 and I'm currently doing a business course in college. I'm finding it boring and not as good. I know my real passion and what I want to do in my life is property, as I've been researching it now for 2 to 3 years. Respect. I was wondering if I got a job or apprenticeship at a estate agent to get experience and knowledge from that side, also get contacts from there. Could I also get you to be my mentor for the next year so I can learn and get all the knowledge I need to start? If so, how much would this cost and what would I get with these payments? Hope this makes sense. So, Elaine, first thing I want to say is respect. I mean, you're at college, you're learning business. It's one of the tragedies when you go down formal education is even when you're learning strategies like business, like real estate, property, investments, you're often learning from people that haven't actually done it. And it's like, this is the formal, credited, government-backed training, but you're learning business from somebody who just read a few books and isn't passionate about it. So I'd probably be bored as well if I was you. Your thinking is right. You want to get work experience. Don't trade your time for money, but trade your time for experience. So work for free to get experience, get a mentor. You know, your thinking is right. I'd do that. I think you probably learn more working. Find a small property investor and say, hey, can I help out? Can I just work for you for free? That'd be better. And can I be your mentor? Sure. You know, I mean, we've got all different types of mentoring packages. You can get training and mentoring and coaching from me and my team for as little as £95 a month. So probably a lot cheaper than going to university to learn about business from someone that just read a few books. You know. Good job. Respect. All right, next. Love Life 2020. Loving the consistency, but please answer my question for once. All right, here we go. I'm going to answer your question for once. I'm torn. I have a small portfolio of buy-to-let properties. I'm in a position where I can buy a nice flat in London to live in while taking advantage of the stamp duty holiday and the fact that I can get a much bigger mortgage due to my current contract rate, which may change soon. Do I buy the flat to live in or in another buy-to-let property? Just to add, if I'm to buy the London flat, it will be a 2-bed, so I'll have the option to rent out one of the bedrooms. All right, so firstly, great that you've got a little portfolio already. If you do qualify for the whole, schemes where you can get really high mortgages lent to you because you already own properties, if you can, I'd say do it. And buy in an area whereby you predict capital appreciation. If you're renting out a room and you've got a lodger, you won't pay tax on that money. It makes sense. I think it's smart. I think just make sure that whatever you buy, if you're buying to, you said you're torn because you've got 2 options. Look at both options and work out what the financial implications would be of each option. If you buy a house to live in and rent the room out, what's the situation financially where you at? If you buy a property and rent it out, how much are you making on that? And then compare what's best. People say to me all the time, Samuel, why do you rent your house that you live in? Because it's a mansion. And if I bought it, I've done the 2 cases. I thought, right, if I was to buy that house and live in it, where would I be at financially? How would things be if I versus where I rent it? And if I bought it, I'd be much worse off. I'd have loads of money tied up into it. I'd be better off. So you just got to do a split test on each case by case choice that you have, and then pull the trigger and go for one. Hope that helps. All right, Edison. I have a question. I have no savings at all, as I've been the only income of our family for several years. Respect, hard worker. You don't need money to get started, by the way. You need courage, knowledge, network, skills. I am thinking of getting a loan with the bank for £25,000 to use as a deposit. Can I use the bridging loan to complete the purchase of a property so that I can add value and remortgage it to pay off the original £25,000? Also, can the bridging loan be higher than the house price so I can use the money to add value to it? So Edison, firstly what I want to say is all the things you're talking about are possible. You can get a loan out and then get a bridging loan and buy a property and add value to it using loans and bridge. You can do that. However, a couple of things to make sure of. Number one is make sure that the property is a good property. Okay? If you're borrowing money and you're super leveraged, you need to make sure that you're going to be able to push the value up to get some equity. Secondly is you want to make sure that once you've completed the project, you're going to be able to have the ability to get a new mortgage on it. Because it might be that you get a bridging loan and you put a loan in and you push the value up and it's a great property, but then you can't refinance because you've not got the credit behind you to do that. So check with a broker, a mortgage broker, that you are going to be able to refinance at the end of the term. And then the third thing I'll say is just always look at the risk and the reward. And, you know, if you've got no money and you're buying properties and you're getting loans out and all that stuff, I did that. So I can't advise you against that, but it does come with risk. And just make sure that you always do a best case and worst case and likely case scenario, and make sure that the worst case isn't going to cripple you financially forever. If it goes bad, if it doesn't work out, what are the repercussions of that? Can you live with that? But, you know, I think you've got the potential to go real far. And I hope to get to know you, and I look forward to hearing your success stories. Well done. All right, CK. Hi Sam, you love the channel. I've been negotiating a lease option agreement. I advised the seller to contact a solicitor, and the solicitor is advised to not go through with the deal. What do I do now? Well, for a start, CK, you should never have advised them to speak to a solicitor. You should have advised them to speak to your solicitor. Or not even your solicitor, but a solicitor that specializes in lease option agreements. You know, you said you advise the seller to contact. If you say to the seller, oh, go speak to a solicitor, most solicitors don't know what lease option agreements even are. So this is all about power team. That would pain me so bad if that happened to me. Now you've got a good deal. The seller's up for a lease option agreement. Perfect. No money down house. Scuppered by a bad solicitor that doesn't know what they're talking about, hasn't got a clue. That little small mistake could have cost you tens and tens of thousands of pounds. You need to have a solicitor that you know that specializes in lease option agreements, and you need to say to the seller, hey, if we're going to go ahead with this, you know, I'm happy to put you in touch with a solicitor that I know specializes in lease option agreements, specializes in property. And if they go, oh, I don't want to, no, I've got my own solicitor, I'd say, listen, that's fine, but in order for this deal to go ahead, it is going to need to be done with a solicitor that really understands property and understands option agreements, because solicitors often tend to have two speeds. One is slow and one is stop. And for me, I'm a professional. This is what I do for a living, and this needs to happen. It needs to happen quickly. So, would you agree? You told me that you have a 3-month timescale. Yeah, I have. Okay, cool. So I'll give you the details of such a solicitor. Give me a shout if I can be of any further help. Like, that's so important. That's so fundamental that you do that. Anyway, you can win this round, though. You can win this round. If you can. But learn from it. Okay, next, A. With interest-only mortgages, what options does one have once the contract is over? So once the agreement is over, once the mortgage term is over, let's say you've got a 20-year agreement, you're either going to pay off the mortgage or you're going to refinance again. Hopefully the latter. But I don't like repayment mortgages, because repayment mortgages, you're forced every month to put a monthly amount aside. Whereas if you have an interest-only mortgage, hey, if you want to put a monthly amount aside, you can, but you're not forced to. So the world's your oyster. So that's why I always recommend interest-only payments. All right, Dad. Hi, Dad. This is not my dad. This is just Dad. He says, read the purple rain question. I don't remember what the purple rain question was now, but I think it was about company, having a limited company. Anyway, do you need years of accounts on your company in order to get a mortgage? No. Or do you, the director, need a good credit score? More likely, yes. I'm finding her to understand what the lenders would be lending against you without any account or credit evidence. Thank you. Keeping the videos coming, like shared over a year ago. All right, Dad. If you're buying a property through a company, you're going to be a guarantor to that company. You can set up a brand new company called Purple Rain Limited, okay? And then you're going to be a guarantor. So as long as you can get a mortgage, your company can get a mortgage. But buying through the company with you being the guarantor, there's tax advantages. So I'd recommend you go speak to an accountant. I don't know if that helps. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you being subscribed for over a year. If you're watching this and you're not subscribed, subscribe. Okay, next. Mama Fur. I began investing in crypto. Oh, this is like a spam. Mr. Peter Schiff. I get so much spam on my YouTube, man. Honestly. And I apologize about that. If you see like spam messages coming on, trying to sell stuff, or hate messages, you know, Samuel is it's just like, geez. We're here to just talk about property, folks. We're here to just learn and grow together. Geez, go find someone else's channel to troll on. Honestly, serious. All right. I laid steel. Hi, Samuel. If you're using the BRR model, how do you determine how high-end finish to do for the refurb? At what point would you be spending too much on the refurb to see any additional return on investment in either rent or refinance? Elaine, great question. So if I'm buying a property as a BRR, presumably I'm keeping that property at the end because I'm buying it, refurbishing it, refinancing it, and renting it out. So I want it to be a good standard. I want to do a proper job. You'll find that you have better tenants, your tenants stay longer, you're able to charge a higher rent. So you want to do a high finish. However, there's high finish, like a good finish, and then there's high finish. Now, if you're living there yourself, you're going to be like, oh, I like that bit more, and you're going to use your personal preferences to potentially pay over the odds and stuff, but it doesn't matter because you're living there. Whereas if you're renting it out, if it's a property you're not going to be living in, don't be getting like marble floors and stuff. You know, don't be spending, like I would typically spend on a kitchen, obviously it depends on where it is in the country. I'm not spending more than like £3,000 or £4,000 on a new kitchen. I'm going to get a Howden's kitchen, it's going to look nice. Of course, it also depends on the building. See, if you're renovating a castle, for example, you're going to get, obviously, you're not going to get a £3,000 Howden's kitchen. So it's all relative depending on the type of building, so it looks fitting. If it's a £100,000 house, you're not going to spend 15 grand on a kitchen because that would be crazy. You're going to spend £2,500 on a kitchen. So if you're buying the house, refurbishing it, refinancing it, do it nice. Don't do everything on the cheap. But I would say middle of the road, but where it looks nice. You know, you don't want to be spending crazy money on carpets or cream carpets. You want to be getting the very basic, you know, brown and dark brown, light brown, wrapped around each other. That kind of carpet, you'll get it for like, you'll pay a couple grand to have the house carpeted. That's the kind of stuff, but it doesn't look bad. It looks all right. But if you spend a fortune on things like carpets in a rented house, it's just going to really pain you when the tenants move out and they've damaged the carpets. And so high end, middle of the road, decent quality, but looks nice. IKEA type vibe. Not, you know, super, I can't even think of an example because I don't go to the shops. Like, nice, middle of the road. Hope that helps. The Real Nihan. Honestly love your videos, very useful and informative. I have a quick question. So whenever I watch your BRR strategy videos, you mention the money recycling bit, which is after the refinance remortgage. However, how does the money which you have invested in come out and to your bank? Okay, so basically, if you haven't done it, I get that it's a bit like, how does this work? What happens? And sometimes you just have to do it, you know, but trust me, when you refinance the property, it goes in your bank. A lot of people are asking this, like, does it go with your accountant? Can you actually use it? Yes, as long as there's not a restriction, be honest. When you're refinancing, be honest with your lender and tell them, look, I'm refinancing to reinvest into property. So, you know, as long as you're not trying to commit mortgage fraud or pretend it's for something else, but most lenders will be okay with that. That's very standard practice. So how does it come out? I don't quite understand the question exactly. How does the money, okay, so how it works is the lender, all right, let's say I'm the lender and I'm the bank and I'm saying to you, your house is worth 100 grand and you're saying to me you want to refinance your house. I'm going to go, no problem. Firstly, is there any existing debt on the property? If there is, let's say there's a £50,000 mortgage already, I'll go, no problem. I'll lend you 75 grand on the property. However, when it happens, what you're going to do is that 75 grand is going to go to the solicitors. It's going to be done with the solicitors, and what's going to happen is the 50 grand current debt is going to be paid off, and then you're going to get the 75 grand, but you're actually going to be left with 25 grand. If there's no mortgage on the property or no existing debt, I'll give you 75 grand. I'll have a charge on the property, a first charge, so that you can't just sell the property because there's a charge on there. It's still yours, but when you sell that property, or if you try and refinance it again, I've got to get my money back. So you can only have the money as long as you have the property. It's very, very straightforward. I get if you've not done it, it's a bit like, how does this work? I hope that was helpful. I hope this helps you folks. I really do. And I appreciate some of you are really experienced. Some of you are not experienced at all. Some of you are just getting started. But you've just got to do it and then see it happen. But it's totally real. This is real. And you can speak to any decent creative mortgage broker, accountant, finance director, solicitor, and they will vouch for what I'm saying. I've done this hundreds of times. Umer Zafir. I have bought a 3-bedroomed house from auction and refurbished it. Should I sell it now or wait? I'd probably, without knowing where it is, I'd probably say sell it now. Of course, it's down to you. I can't tell you what to do, but properties are booming right now. I'd probably sell it now, get your money in. Okay, Big Boss 619. How much tax would you pay when collecting rent from your tenants on interest-only payment? So you're going to pay tax on any profit that you make. So the key is to try and make as little profit as possible by having lots of business expenses. I know this sounds a little bit backward. Sure, I want lots of profit. You don't. I mean, I made £2 million profit last year, and it actually pained me because I ended up having to pay loads of tax. So now I'm thinking, how can I make no profit? And how you're going to do that is by, you're going to think, well, what can I actually claim as tax deductible? You know, for instance, I run a training company. If you invest in one of my training companies, that's tax deductible. So that's going to come off your profit. You're going to pay less tax. So how can you grow your business, scale your business, invest in more things, and bring down your profit? That sounds backwards, a little bit, but I'm just speaking from experience. I'm not a tax advisor, but that's what I'm doing now. Another thing is, how much tax would you pay? It really depends on how it's structured. So you don't pay any tax on the first, around about £11,000 you profit, you pay no tax. And then after that, you're going to start paying more tax. But you can do things like, you should pay yourself a salary through your company. You can pay yourself up to around about £40,000 and you're going to pay nothing on the first 11, and then from 11 to 40, you're going to pay just 7.5%. So what you could do is you can employ your wife, you can employ your kids, and then you can pay them salaries. It's going to reduce the tax again. So listen, I'm not a tax expert or a tax advisor by any stretch of the imagination, but I do kind of know what I'm doing based on experience. So please do speak to a qualified tax accountant about this and let them give you best bespoke advice. Thanks so much. Alessandro Slavu. Hi Samuel, how are you? I'm awesome, buddy. I appreciate you being a subscriber. My question might be stupid, but here it is. No such thing as a stupid question. Without a buy-to-let mortgage, we usually can't rent the house out, right? So how does this work in correlation with lease option agreement? How am I able to rent out a house on the owner's behalf if the house hasn't got a buy-to-let scheme? Thanks in advance. Great question. So you're correct. If you're renting out any house, if there's a mortgage on the house that restricts you from renting that house out, I mean, it would have to be a residential mortgage. Then what you're going to have to do, if that is the case, and if you're taking on a property on a lease option agreement, is you're going to have to make sure that you get consent from the lender to rent the house out. Now, in lease option agreement terms, you can usually do this because lease option agreements often are properties with no mortgage on them. They've been inherited or whatever, and the seller just doesn't know what to do with the house and doesn't need the money now, or they're in negative equity. And it could be a buy-to-let or it could be a residential property. If they're in negative equity and it's a residential property, you can say to the lender, hey lender, you lent out all this money and now it's dropped. We're in a really precarious situation right now. Please could we have consent to rent the house out? Because we're in a financial tricky situation. They'll usually give it to you. So if they won't, then you might have to move on to another property. But that's generally the way we get around it. Hope that helps, buddy. Great job. Reese Nibs. Do you have a new office or a green screen? I can't tell. Both. So we do have a new office. So this is my new home office. And it's a great place. I love it in here. And most of my filming now, if it's sit down, Winners Wednesdays, we come down here, we film. So it's a new office, but we do also have a green screen. So this is not London behind me right now. It's actually a blank wall. So it would look pretty boring if we didn't have London behind us. It would just be like really dull. It would just be a bland wall. And of course, I want to make this as visually pleasing to the eye as possible, as well as content rich. So yeah, but I hope you like the new offices. And if you become successful in property, maybe you'll get to sit down and we can chat and we can talk about your journey in property and have you on Winners on a Wednesday and you'll get to see it in person. Thanks so much. All right, next, Patricia Kilty. Hi Samuel, I remember seeing in one of your videos that you had made 100 people or so financially free. which is truly inspirational. Just curious, what is your current tally up to? Great question. So I've made way more than 100 people financially free. Like, just on Winners on a Wednesday, there's more than 100 people. You know what? I am actually losing count. And last year alone, in 2019, I tallied 111 people financially free as a direct result of my training. However, I literally get people stopping me in the street saying, oh my gosh, I did your online course and blah, 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 and now I'm financially free. I get that. Like, I literally cannot keep count of how many people are financially free without doing a tally of every person on the planet and saying, are you financially free? Did it happen from Samuel's training? It's kind of impossible for me to keep a tally. So what I do instead is I just, rather than counting, I just have Winners Wednesdays every single week, and we've got queues of people. So yeah, hope that helps. A lot of people though. All right, last question. Matty BK says, keep up the great work. I completed on my first house a month ago. The house is a 2-bed over 3 floors. My plan is to rent out the 2 bedrooms above using the rent-a-room scheme. Already got a friend who wants one, and create a sort of studio flat for myself on the lower ground floor. Do I need to follow any certain regulations, install fire doors, etc.? So Matt, so for fire doors, if the property's not a HMO, you don't need fire doors. I don't think you're going to need any licenses or anything like this unless it's in a selective licensing area. I don't know where it is. But to have lodgers in your property, you're just going to put them on a rent-a-room contract. You're not going to pay any tax because you're going to get bedroom relief tax for the first, I think it's up to £7,500 a year, which is amazing. So I think you're pretty okay. You might want to get fire doors in particularly high-risk rooms, like if maybe in the kitchen, put a fire door. But fire doors are very cheap anyway, and they're good doors. They're good, long-lasting doors. So any doubts, contact your local council, but great job. And honestly, guys, I really enjoy doing these Q&A Sunday videos. Thanks for watching. I hope you find this content useful. I want to give you the best experience ever on my YouTube channel. I want to give you the best content ever. I can only do that by hearing your questions, your problems, your challenges, and then I'll try and fix them best I can. So please do me a massive favor, comment your questions below, and I will then return the favor by answering as many as I possibly can. Don't forget to subscribe, turn the notification bell on, and if you enjoy my videos, smash the like button and share with a friend. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.